Oh, what is up? Elijah Campbell here from the early game at 107.5 The Game, live from the scene of the crime. The scene of the crime committed tonight. A 35-13 win for the South Carolina Gamecocks over Kentucky. That is win number 4 in a row for Shane Beamer and his team over Mark Stoops and his team, furthering my point that Kentucky is cooked. But that's not the story tonight. The story tonight, Carolina's defense has their swagger back a little bit. Kentucky gets the ball to start the game, marches right down the field. Quite frankly, and I'm using Shane Beamer's words here too, ran down South Carolina's throat. Seth McGowan scores a touchdown in this end zone, violently throws a football right at Lenora Sellers' grandfather, doesn't get flagged somehow, but that's not the point. Kentucky goes up 7-0, Carolina responds, they score. Kentucky ends up getting 3 more on the next possession, and then after the first quarter, only accounting for about 80-something yards. After that, Carolina's defense locked in after that first quarter and made life miserable for Cutter Boley. I think on a few times tonight, I put down in my sheet or in my notes, man, I feel bad for that kid because he took an absolute beating, whether it's Brian Thomas Jr. getting a couple of sacks, whether it's Dylan Stewart crushing him and Jatius Gear picking up the fumble and returning it for a touchdown, or whether it was Desmond Umazulu absolutely spearing him into the turf and Gerald Kilgore picking up a pass and taking it the distance. It was not a good night for Kentucky's young quarterback, and South Carolina's defense and this raucous crowd made it to where he was not going to have a not-so-chill night. The Carolina defense, after 2 weeks of poor tackling performances, 14 missed tackles here against Vanderbilt in the stadium, 16 missed tackles in Como in a loss to Missouri, they come in tonight and tackle significantly better. And as a point of emphasis all week, Shane Beamer told me after the game that it was one of the biggest emphasis they had in the week of practice was making sure that once somebody wraps up a ball carrier, that 10 more guys are coming to the ball, right? They're getting all 11 on it, and that they're going to be able to provide some tackling assistance. And tonight it was better. A few missed tackles here and there, but that happens. This is football. But tonight it was a lot better for South Carolina. The 2 defensive scores were huge because the offense only put up 21 points. But the offense did play better. There's still some things to work on, but at the same time too, you ran the ball better, because anytime you run for positive yardage, it's better than going -9 against Missouri and not having positive yardage at all. Lenora Sellers looked a lot more comfortable running the ball. The last 2 games, it did not seem like Lenora Sellers was able to even get a lot of room running the ball, especially against Missouri, where Missouri played a lot different in terms of what their coverage was. A lot of rushing 3, dropping 8, maybe 1 or 2 quarterback spies sometimes. It wasn't like it was much different tonight, though, with Kentucky. Lenora said that the looks weren't different, but he said he was more aggressive. Ran for almost 100 yards tonight. If you don't account, I guess, for the sacks, right? It was a much more successful quarterback run night for Lenora Sellers, and he did some vintage Lenora Sellers stuff. Pockets breaking down, he breaks out of the pocket, avoids a sack, is able to pick up another 15, 20 yards afterwards, and put on some highlight reel runs. It was a highlight reel run type of night for Lenora Sellers, and I think that's what a lot of the people that are in the stadium and a lot of Gamecock fans that hang out with us on a daily basis have been waiting for, to see that vintage Lenora Sellers that we saw in the last 6 weeks of last season, where he's running the ball like that. He also threw the ball really well. Now, he didn't throw for 300 yards like he did against Missouri, but even in a limited passing sample size, was insanely efficient on the night. And he has found a new favorite target, and that's Vandrevius Jacobs. 2nd straight 100-yard receiving game for Vandrevius Jacobs. And tonight he did it in an impressive fashion, including an explosive play that went all the way about to, Kentucky's 11, 12-yard line, I believe. I have to go back and watch the tape to get the specific number on that. But that explosive play set up another rushing touchdown, that one from Matthew Fuller. The passing game was really good. And the numbers aren't eye-popping because there wasn't a lot of passing attempts, but they did pass it really efficiently. My only gripe on offense, well, I have 2. The offensive line still isn't very good in run blocking. You might get away with it tonight because you're able to wear Kentucky down. So you might be able to get away with it tonight. I don't know if you get away with it a lot in the future, right? I think you have to be able to run block significantly better in this league to be able to give your running backs a chance to be able to get more yardage beyond the line of scrimmage. That leads me to this. When you know the running blocking isn't what it's supposed to be, or isn't even up to par, I think the big thing is to maybe not call first and second down runs as frequently as they did. There were a lot of first and second down runs that kind of put either Oscar Attaway or Sulfaison or Matthew Fuller running into a wall of humanity. And then you're constantly putting yourself in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 situations. The third down situation still wasn't great with Carolina in terms of where the ball was and how far away from the chains you were to have to get those first downs. But you made a lot of plays on 3rd down, 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, to be able to make up for that, right? The passing game was able to be good enough to make that not matter as much in this game. The 2 defensive touchdowns made it to where you didn't have to score 30 offensive points to win this game. It just simply wasn't required. But I would like to see South Carolina on first down maybe do more of those play action bootlegs. They did it a couple times tonight, but I think the play action bootleg is this offense's bread and butter. You get Lenore Sellers in play action, rolling to his right or rolling to his left and finding a tight end or finding Nick Harbor or Vandrevius Jacobs across the middle. They pick up 10 to 15 yards on so many of those plays. And Lenoris is so dialed in as a passer right now. At one point in the game, he was 10 of 13. And I think that was going into the 4th quarter. He is so dialed in right now when it comes to passing the ball that even in a game like this where you don't have as many offensive plays because you had 2 defensive scores in the first half, in Kentucky you had 3 more drives than you did in the first half, it still would behoove you to be able to throw the ball more on 1st and 2nd down and maybe get into more 3rd and shorts to where it's easier to pick up and you're not having to bank on getting 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s. That's what can improve with the offense. But again, the running game was a lot better, mostly by virtue of being over 0 yards, but they were better. And in the 4th quarter especially, Kentucky kind of wore down. You were able to pick up the adequate yardage needed to keep moving the clock, keep moving the chains, milking that thing down. But we saw a lot more from Lenoris. Because there are a couple plays, man, where the pocket breaks down when he's dropping back and you think he's sacked, and he does the thing where he just like bends his back a little bit and he breaks out of a tackle, and then next thing you know, he's up 15 yards up the field. There was more of that from Lenore Sellers tonight, and that is what's going to be required of the South Carolina Gamecock team if they want to pull off wins in tough places, like when they go to LSU here in a couple weeks, or when they have to go to Ole Miss or Texas A&M, or when they play here against Oklahoma and Alabama. You're going to have to see more of that to be able to win those games. That's going to be required for the offense to do enough to be able to win those. Again, defensively, fantastic tonight. Maybe that was one of the highlight performances of the Gamecock defense all night. Dylan Stewart was great. Brian Thomas Jr., again, 2 sacks on the night. Interception from Gerald Kilgore. Brandon Cisse had a fantastic tackling game and was really good in run defense. The entire team was good in run defense after those first 2 Kentucky drives when Seth McGowan seemingly felt like he was going to run for 300 tonight and have an Ahmad Hardy-esque performance, but that didn't happen. South Carolina's defense did lock in. They did look better, and ultimately you come out of here with a 35-13 victory, a resounding win, one this team needed in the worst way, which after the loss here a couple weeks ago to Vanderbilt 31-7, and after a close loss against Missouri on the road, you needed something. You need to see the ball go in, to use a basketball reference. South Carolina saw the ball go in last night. Do they take advantage of the bye week? Are they able to take advantage of regrouping and having an extra week to scout LSU? LSU coming off of a loss to Ole Miss tonight on the road. You know they're going to be looking to get a big win under their belt because they still have college football playoff aspirations that they're striving for too. That's a game LSU absolutely cannot drop at home. They have a week off to prepare for you as well because they'll also be on a bye week. Monday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Myself, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen on the early game. We'll be taking your calls, 803-404-6100 on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines or the Firehouse Subs text lines at the same number. 803-404-6100. Taking calls and texts all day, not just on my show, but all the way up to Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri, the halftime show with Bill Gunner and Tyler Head, the post-game show with Jay Phillips and Terry Ford. Reaction Monday should be a lot more fun this Monday than it has been the last 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to getting to talk to you then, giving more of my thoughts after some further reflection, and also being able to break this game down, this win, for the next few days. We'll talk to you then. What did you think about the game tonight? Comment below. What do you want to see changed on the offense? Comment below. And who are your game balls? Who are you saying were the players of the night for South Carolina in their 35-13 win? And is Kentucky cooked? The answer is yes. We'll talk to you on Monday.